Hello and welcome to a video where I'm going to try and make a whole song out of this little green box. I've been doing a bit of organising here in the studio, making a bit more space, and I was going to stick this in storage, and I thought it makes some interesting drum type sounds, and then I thought, well, why not try and do an entire instrumental track with only things I can make with this box and some other items that I can maybe hear with. So let's give it a go. Hello! So, it's the next day. I've done a bit of sound design. I did a bit more than I meant to without filming anything. But I've put a little drum kit together and I'll run you down how I've done it. Put some strings together, a bass, and I stripped one of the instruments from the strings to use as like a little accordion sound. Let me show you what I've done. So part one of this is going to be the drum kit, which if you can see, I've just taken bits of it and sliced it. Some parts have been like layered up a few times. You can see here and here. Now, I can't show you exactly what I did with each sound because I used this bounce chain here. It's kind of somewhat ridiculous, and these different effects, and just paralleled it with a load of stuff. But I can show you roughly what happened in each of these. So this first one was what I started with for the kick drum, and this has got a couple of these Waves Puig Tech EQs, just massively boosting 100 Hz and putting a bit on the top end. I think they're doing slightly different. This one, this one's at 60, this one's at 5. Probably doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not massively great at drum sound design. And then after that I had a drum bus. The rest of these effects later on I think were for further sounds, so I'll come back to those. Paralleled it with a 12-bit bit depth reduction. This is a free plugin from Blue Lab Audio. This is just a dry chain. Then we've got one with Trash 2 from Isotope that I mucked about with on several of them and just put different distortion flavours for adding a bit of crackle to things if I wanted a bit more hiss on a snare. And this one is a different distortion chain. So I just switched these in and out and tweaked them for each sample and then bounced it. So the settings changed for each sample, but essentially this is what I was doing. I've got a limiter. Didn't do a lot of compressing. I've got this pitch shifter which I added onto some effects, and an echo on quite a quick settings. Let me show you some of the sounds I got out of this, and some of the more specialised ones I'll go into in a bit more depth. So this is my kick drum. There's a bit of a fizz on the top of it, as you can maybe hear. I think that's maybe trash. Could get rid of it, but I kind of like it. And then I've got another kick, just maybe a little bit high up at the minute. I've mapped some of these different parameters here using this, like, if you go and click on something and you can map it to a macro. So I could tune this second kick. I've maybe not actually mapped that one. Let's do just maybe so. You can hear they're all just box noises. Here's a rim shot. Here's a tom. This is one of my snares. Now I think this is me hitting it with a stick. With some of these, in order to get a bit more flavour, let's just see if I turn. What does it sound like if I turn the erosion, convolution, reverb, and this all off. Okay, so what I've done there is I've distorted it quite heavily. I've got some drive going on, I've got a lot of this filter frequency in trash, and I've bounced it a few times. I've also pitched it up 7 semitones. So we bring that down, you'll maybe hear what that sounds like a bit better. Which one? The snare 2. So this has been rebounced a few times, but this is just a stick hitting the box. And I've layered on different bits of distortion. The high pitch bit, that's it, that's the frequency shifter. I just showed you on this group. So that's where the frequency shifter and the delay, the very short delay, have created that kind of metallic ringing sound. I've got a little bit, just short ambience on a couple of them, just to make them feel a bit more real. This one actually kind of sounds like a box. This is like my second snare sound. I would say the snares are the least successful part. A couple of stick noises that I've got a random transposition on. So it's like a little stick flam that changes with this expression control. So that's just altering this transpose control. Just a stick hit in the box. Here's my hi-hat. Quite impressed with this one. So again, a stick hit in a box. This is all this is. So we're up 36 semitones. If I bring it down, you can hear the box underneath. Now that high-end ringing is again different levels of distortion, but it's also this corpus plate and an erosion. So there's me whacking a box, and then we add this plate sound to give it a bit more metal, and then I've pitched the actual attack up at 36 semitones, and it sounds like a hi-hat. And I've mapped the decay of this plate onto here, so you can get it really snappy or have a bit more ring, which is quite fun. This is my crash. It's not perfect, but you know, crash made out of a box, it's not terrible. It's a pretty trashy crash. What this is another hit of the box, and then I used the warp algorithm that's called, what's it called? The texture one? Texture algorithm, or the grains one with the grains really low. So this is the crash. As you can see, I've just stretched it with this, this one's on a Beats algorithm, that's because it's been bounced. So this was a double hit there. This was that, I think. And then I stretched it out. You can see it's the same waveform, just stretched. There's the, can I solo save these? I don't know. Don't know if I can do that anymore. So this is that same hit just stretched on this texture algorithm, and then I edited it down so it's just one hit, and it has the different tail and different attack. The attack from the first one, tail from the second hit. Bounce that again through these various effects, and then lobbed it in my drum rack. Now what I've also done to that, just because why not? So one of them is that crash that happens the same every time, and then I've put one through a massive reverb, and I have made it so every time I hit it, where is it? Should be. Okay, so this is just different. That's meant to be an open hat. They're all the same thing. This is a different pitch one through a big reverb, which is meant to be a cymbal. And then this is the same cymbal, but it transposes randomly, and the filter transposes randomly, so you get odd results. Kind of big effects explosion button, which is always good fun. So yeah, that's the kit. probably bring that K down. Not perfect, but not bad for a plastic box, considering I don't really do drum sound design very often. So I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video on making a track out of a box, part 1. There's going to be several more parts to come. I've made a bass, I've made some strings, I've made some other sounds, there's also a lead sound, and then there's how I've actually kind of constructed the track a little bit. The samples from the box for this one are all available for free. You can get them below, I'll put a link in the description. And if you want the sampler instrument to be able to drag and drop into Ableton, you can get that on my Patreon, which I'll also put a link to below. If you'd like to learn more about production or songwriting, composing, guitar playing, then you can head over to my lesson face and book in a private lesson if that's something you'd like to do. You can also support me in other ways by picking up a t-shirt. I had these wonderful t-shirts designed by Garrow Wilson, whose Instagram I will link below. There's also another couple, these are available on my website. I also released a new song recently called Dogma. If you've not heard it yet, please go check it out. It's the tune you're listening to at the minute. Other than that, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you real soon.